Hey everyone, how you going? Welcome to episode 6.
Wow, you remembered yet again! Woohoo!
Jess is
He
getting
knows
into
his
me.
numbers.
Now I'm going to have a little bit of trouble. I got my cuppa in my hand, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's episode 6, obviously. Fantastic to have you on the show. Welcome to episode 6, as I said. We're really excited about running these shows, and we've had some fantastic feedback from everyone. It's fantastic. So first of all, I'll get Jess to say hello.
Oh, I am on. Sorry, I was waiting. Neil said he was going to point, and you were going to point. Oh my god, I got all confused. But anyway, hi, I am here. I see Richard and Sue have joined us, and same with Peter Hamer. Nice to see you, Peter. You're wearing your little emoji mask. Very handy, and thankfully we live on the same property, so we actually can share germs.
Did you say thankfully, Jess? You know, so...
Well, it is thankfully, like we do live on the same property. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to show my beautiful Motodynamics-styled red lipstick.
Yeah. No, awesome. What's the name? Thanks, everyone, for your feedback. It's great to have you all on the show. We've actually inspired women's participation in the sport.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. No, this show, only after 5 episodes... Joe Dimitro is actually now starting to service Peter's bike.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow, that is incredible.
Now, I don't know, Robin Rogers was having all sorts of dramas going live, getting into the live podcast. So I'm not too sure how he's going with technology, but he reckons he's better at doing figure eights than getting onto live Facebook. So I can understand that, Robin, so no worries. And Ian Coates, Jess. Ian Coates was really enjoyed your photo of the caliper all in parts.
Oh, yeah. Good. I had fun taking that photo, actually. I've actually got about 1 million more for a blog that we've got going up shortly, but I'll save those for later.
Yeah, well, the thing that Ian thought was that was all the parts left over.
Well, you never know with Simon and old age and all that kicking in. You just never know what he could forget.
Yeah, so speaking of Ian Coates, our thoughts are with everyone up in the Bullsbrook area. Ian Coates, Chris Simon and family, the Spikins, Jason Griffiths, all our friends that live in that area. Fortunately, that none of them were under serious threat. And they didn't suffer any serious damage or anything like that. Obviously our hearts go to all the families who have lost properties, and it's just a huge heartache for them. So our thoughts are with you. So all the best for 2021, and we certainly hope you recover quickly. No worries. So we've got a big show. Jess, you need to do more talking with this show, because the last show I didn't get to drink my cuppa, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the other thing is you didn't tell me what was happening in this show, so I'm just waiting to see what I might have to talk about.
Right, so I'll set the scene for today's show.
That's great, because now I can be included in that scene setting. Surprise!
So it just knows what's going on. So what we're basically focusing on today is just a real basics fork change of oil. Fork service, so nothing serious, just a simple change of oil. But while we're at it, we're going to show you two scenarios of changing fork seals, and also then I'm going to give you some tips around the triple clamps on the bike and stuff like that. So
are we able to get that done in the 30 minutes required?
Well, yeah, I'm fairly sure we will, right?
Okay.
Just as long as you don't talk too much.
Oh, I can't talk too much, though. You need me to talk too much.
You just need to talk when I need time to have a cup.
Okay.
So I'll set the scene for the first scenario. Now, some of the...
It's Sicily, 1889.
No, Jess, you've
not
been
that
silly.
sort of scene?
No.
Oh, okay. No. I was going to do Golden Girls.
I'll set the scene for you. Now, Peter Hamer might pay you to look away, because poor old Pete might have a heart attack with this one. But so Neil and I are at the National Championships. We're into lap 2 of the second day. Anyone that goes to National Championships will know that if you're in the expert class, you pretty well use up all the time you've got. We normally allocate a half an hour breakdown and that. And so we've just blown a fork seal to bits, and it's on although it's not, the one I'm going to do is not, but if it's on this side of your forks, then it's the worst situation for you, because you're going to get oil onto your disc and then you're done, right? Even if it is the right hand fork, dampening fork, it's going to be spurting oil everywhere and you're going to lose your brake. So we've had no choice, but we're going to have to change the fork seal. We don't have much time, so we're just going to get stuck into it and rip it out and change it over. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So this is not the way you would do it if you're at home.
Oh,
with
so
a
this
bench.
is if you're under pressure.
This is
in
when
a
you're under
trial.
pump, and the important
time
thing
is ticking.
is finishing the trial, or trying to win a championship or whatever.
So for the duration of this, shall we have a time ticking?
Oh yeah, so the time's ticking. Okay, so
we have Neil in tears in the background. My fork seals are gone.
oh dear. Now I'm going to cover a couple of things while I'm going, apart from showing you the quick way of changing a fork seal. But if we were going to be doing your normal servicing of your fork, the first thing you do is you loosen your top triple clamp here, okay, like so. And then what you want to do before you take your fork leg off, you want to crack the top bush here. So now some of them will have a spanner. You can just simply put a spanner on there. This particular type has just got your little indents, so you've got to put a punch washer in there. Now I use a large pair of side clip pliers that turn down, so I use these. Now the other thing you can do if you don't have some of these, what you can use is 2 pin punches and then just a screwdriver in there, and you can work them out if you haven't got the tools to do that. So loosen that off. Then you can take, as you can see, I've prepared this already. I've already taken the front axle out.
No axle, just watch out it doesn't fall.
Yep. So take my fork leg out of there. Now we'll quickly pop him in the vise. Now we're supposed to be under pressure because of the Australian Championship.
Oh, I can still hear Neil crying in the background.
Yeah, Neil, in this stage, Neil would be eating and I'd be working, which is usually normally the case. Now we normally have a vise sitting in the back of the race hitch of the car. So you've got a vise. So off with the seal.
Is it a vice or advice?
No, advice.
Do you want a close up of this?
If you want. You've got a circlip in the top here. You've got to pop out a circlip like such. Okay, do you want to
get a close up?
Neil's going for a different close up.
Just bear with us, so people can see what's in there.
Now, Peter Hamer, I'm not sure which camera we're going to be on.
Oh, just speaking to that one. Oh God, not too close,
Peter
Simon.
Hamer, look away. So, what we would do...
Go this side.
Oh, you're going to do this side.
You're going to use a thinner one, or that's...
No, this is one I usually use what I call a standard screwdriver. Just dig it in there. You don't have to be too... You're not going to damage your fork legs. They're pretty tough. Dig it in, work it out. Fork seal out. New fork seal on. Your fork seal banger in her.
Really? Just like that?
Fork
It's all
seal's
done?
in. Circlip on. Like so. Neil's going mad, saying, hurry up, Dad.
Because he's finished his food
Wipe her
and
on.
he's still hungry. He's stressing out. Cole Middleton's just cleaned the next section.
Oh no.
Come on,
Out,
Simon.
bang, into the bike and away we go.
Well, really, you can't because it's not actually in the bike and it's not connected.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, we should have had that time to see how fast the old man could have done that.
Right. So, so what do you reckon about that? The camera angle right there, Neil? Yeah.
Yep.
The so that's the quick way of doing a fork seal if you haven't got time to muck around, okay?
That was actually fairly quick. You quite surprised me there, Simon. I was actually trying to do a few little behind-the-scene Facebook posts and all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, oh, God, you're finished.
And we're done.
Yes.
No worries. Okay, so
It looks brutal, but it works very well.
it looks brutal. Your fork tubes are pretty tough, right? So you're not going to put a dent in them. Just by being gentle, get in there. The seal's wrecked anyway. Just get in there, dig the thing out, and don't muck around. So that's what you do when you're in a hurry.
Well, that's great to now know.
Rightio. So what we're going to do now basically it's just a simple oil change of your forks. Now, today we're working on a beater, and they've got paoli forks in them. Now, most of your trials bikes will either have paoli, shower, your Mazocchis, and your Tech forks. So now there's a bit of variance in them all, and your oil levels and all that sort of stuff varies. So you really need to refer to your workshop manuals for the amount of oil, the type of oil, and all those sorts of things. Now we could spend the rest of our lifetime on suspension and all the nitty gritty. So this
that would be suspenseful.
Suspenseful.
That
oh
is
God,
terrible.
that is terrible. You're not even a grandma yet.
Is that joke that bad? Yes,
Right.
I progressed from mum jokes to grandma jokes.
But so this is real basic level 1 suspension oil changes, and then over the years we will progressively go through all the steps on suspensions, and we
Hold
could
on
spend
tight,
the rest of
people.
our life on these.
We've got years of suspension.
So as I said, we're working on a set of Paolis at the moment. Now, like most of the bikes, they've only got one. The one leg has the spring, the other leg does your damping. Okay, so I'll start off with the spring leg, this one, which is this one.
Does it have a spring in its step?
It does have a spring in it, right? So hopefully I've already loosened that. I have. There you go. So make sure that's loosened. We'll pop him in the vise. Now we're not under pressure because we're not at the Australian Championships now. We're home.
So what are you using there for the clamps?
Oh, this is just a little bit of water pipe. I've just cut in half down the centre, so I use that
it's a bit of a protection.
to protect the fork leg when I pop it in the vise. So pop that in there.
Can I ask, it's most probably like a really stupid question.
Yes, go ahead.
But no, why do you not want to damage the outside?
Don't want to scratch it.
Okay.
Don't want
So literally, is it literally just purely for
Yeah, just
aesthetics?
purely for cosmetics.
Okay.
Yeah, purely for cosmetics.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why I worry, because Neil throws them against rocks.
Yeah, I was going to say. And is there a difference why that one's black and the other one's white?
Yeah, just different models. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
So
That is just for the record. He's not actually changing my forks. You'll see that one is black,
Yes. And that
and
one's
those
white.
ones are white.
Yeah, so Neil can change his own fork seals. Now, and to add to Jess's question, now, if you're Barry Barton or Peter Homer, or they would have 6 layers of this to make sure they don't scratch it. Yeah.
Okay.
So if Baz ever gets to have a look at the show, his nickname is Mr. Sheen.
Mr. Sheen. Well, I was going to say, Peter Hamer just put up that he's glad that you're not demoing on my TRS.
Yes.
So I'm still waiting for mine to come, actually, Pete.
Very true, and they won't be too far away. So I've just taken the top cap off. Now this is the spring leg. As you'll see, there's a spring in it. Now different suspension will have different adapters in here, different spacings. So you take your spacers out. I've got to use my trusty tray. Make sure I put everything down in the tray. Now, normally when you pull the spring out, you've always got to pull it out slowly and let the oil dribble down. Otherwise you end up with a mess everywhere. I normally have my oil tray sitting down here. And
see, you're already creating a mess. It's already dribbling down.
yeah, you don't worry about that. And I just sit the spring down there. Now I'm going to pull this leg apart completely. So we will pop the rubber seal off. We'll pop your clip out. so. Into the tray. I've got to remember to use my tray.
And
Alzheimer's kicking in again. He has to
this
remember.
is the point where it's worth having glasses on too.
It's always a good
Sometimes
idea to have.
you're looking in and
Always
here,
wear.
look, Simon, there's safety goggles. There's a safety thingamajiggity over there.
That's what we use if we're doing COVID, Jess. Now, if you like, I often use a glass jar. But if you want to check out what's in your oil, what it looks like when you pour it out, sometimes you don't want to see it. So just pull him out.
Oh, delicious.
Doesn't look too bad. Just make sure I keep my cuppa out the way.
Now that would have been hilarious.
It would be. So just drain it all out. I mean, normally what I would do is I sit it down on my oil tray and just let it drip out, just to avoid having as much oil everywhere. But for the purpose of saving a bit of time, we're going to make a mess. Now, which camera are we on now? Down here is your locating bolt. Now, unless you've got the fancy tool to hold the inside, what I do is use an rattle gun on it. You pop a rattle gun on it, that'll just spin out pretty quick, and you won't have to hold anything inside. But if you're doing it manually by hand, generally you'll never undo them. They'll just spin inside. Right.
we're in the camera overhead now. If you're going to rattle it,
Are we? Right. So, rattle gun on. Make sure you're going in the right direction. Now this bolt will have a copper washer on it. So if the copper washer doesn't come off the bolt, it'll be sitting there. So be careful you don't lose that. Now this is the better way to remove your seals. Not like the rough way I showed you. Now you just pull him out and you're going to have oil going everywhere. And then you'll feel it'll stop. Now there's a guide at the top, a bush guide at the top and a bush guide on the bottom of this truncheon. And what you do is you just use it like a slide hammer and the bottom guide will knock the top guide up and push your seal out. Like that. Quite easy.
you're going to just hold that contents up to the camera, take it toward the drill a bit.
Towards the drill.
Yep.
How's that?
That's it.
Okay. I'll just separate all the parts so you can see. There's a truncheon in here, I'll talk about that in a minute. But this little item here is your bottom bush, and this is your top bush here. Now if I spin this one around, you'll see there's a split here.
Just speak up, Dave, because the microphone's back here, remember?
Oh, sorry, the microphone's back there. Sorry. We need 2 mics, Neil.
Oh, do not encourage.
More cables, cables.
What's that, Jessica?
So,
Neil Price, need to go to Cables Anonymous because we do not need any more cables.
Well, I'm happy to go buy some wireless lavalier mics.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, as I say, this is your bottom bush, that's your top bush guide. You can remove them simply by just putting your screwdriver in there and spreading them, and then they'll just pop off. The same with the top one. There's a split there, but you don't really need that to remove that. So you got your 3 components: fork seal, there's a retaining washer here, and then your guide there. Now the thing to look for, you got this centre tube here, and on the bottom there is actually a collar, and sometimes it stays here and sometimes it stays down the bottom. So if it's not on there, it'll be down here, and if it's not in here, someone's lost it. There it is.
Aren't you glad something fell out?
So there's your retaining collar. Simply get yourself some rag. Now when you're doing this sort of work, it always pays to be in a dust-free environment. So I normally just get a tube.
I was going to say that's really
clean it out.
kind of ironic in our in our workshop at the moment to be dust free.
Yeah. And clean it out. You can clean it out with a solvent, you know, some Kero or whatever. Clean it all out. You can pull all this apart, clean them all up. For the purpose of saving some time, I won't spend any time doing all of that. But if you're going to put it all back together, put your collar back on. Push your collar back up into here. You've got everything on there. Just slide him in until it bottoms out.
Bring it back toward the drill a bit.
Make sure that's sitting down and you can feel it started the thread. If it started, put your rattle gun in the right direction, which often I don't. Lock him up tight. You don't need to get too excited. It's got a copper washer there. And there you go. It's there. You would be popping in new seals.
Bring the seals back to the camera. Back to the drill.
Right. So you would be putting in new seals, but what we've got your top bush collar to go in. So what we do, we put that in there like such. You put your retaining washer over top, and then you get your fork banger innerer. Fork banger innerer is a very technical term. And you just use that and the retaining washer to push your guide back in place. Then you pop your seal in.
So how much would one of those fork seal whacker thingamabobbers cost? They look highly technical piece
highly
of...
technical. No, it's a good point. I'm not sure what's going to be a good angle.
Fine.
So this is a piece of 40mm drainage pipe. I've got a collar.
Just hold it up still so people can see it. Hold it still. Move your hand.
Like that.
And at the end.
The end.
And get it in focus.
So get it in focus. So it's a 40mm drainage pipe. I've glued a collar on the end. Oh, like that. Okay. And then on the inside...
It's a 40mm socket and a 40mm pipe.
Yeah. And on the inside, what I've done is I've filed it around, chamfered it around so it's concaved. So that the seal, see on the seal, how's that for a shot, Neil?
Yep.
See on the seal, with these particular ones, you've got a raised bit. So I've filed the centre out so it doesn't damage this part here when you bang it in. So you simply just push it in like that. Bang your seal down until it bottoms out, and then you can put your circlip back in. Okay, pretty simple. Now the next important trick, we won't get too excited about putting everything back together because we'll do that later when we've got time. Now this is the important bit, how much oil you put in.
Any comments?
No, but Frank just did say that Neil, could use that when he's coaching my boys. I'm either referring to, are you going to hit them with a fork, or is it with the thingamajiggity?
I think the thingamajiggity.
The PVC
the
tube.
PVC tubing.
Right. Now when you're putting your oil back in, make sure you pop your spring, have your spring in. Top your
now,
oil
do you
up.
need to clean that before you put it back in, or not?
Oh yeah, definitely have it nice and clean. Now I'm just going to chuck the old oil in for the purpose of showing you. Right, top him up with oil. Don't panic, this will all come apart and I'll clean it all up. Right, and you'll hear it gurgling away. But the important thing is you must have your fork leg bottomed all the way out, down. So your fork leg needs to be down, and you need to have your spring in it. Now you've got to refer to the user manual for the particular forks you're using for this sort of detail, but for the paolis, you must have the spring in, the fork leg completely bottomed out, and then the paolis say 120 mil of air gap. So your oil needs to sit 120 mil below there. So the way to get that, you simply top it up with oil.
Oh, and then you use the little squirty, sucky outy thing.
Yeah, I'll chuck a little bit more in so you can see.
So would you fill that like all the way up to the top and then just suck out 120 mils worth of oil?
You don't do it to the top, otherwise you're just wasting oil. But you try to gauge it as much as you can. Now what I do is I'll put a black mark on my syringe, 120 mil. I push that down to there, and I've got it locked and set there, so I know I've got 120 mil. And then you simply suck the excess oil out until it starts sucking air. So now it's sucking air. So now I know I've got 120 mil gap in here. Now you don't have to use a fancy dancy like that. My old one is just a tube, which I normally carry in the van. I've got 120 and 60 mil marked there, because 60 is for the dampening leg, and I just put that down in there.
And what
to the mark
and what siphon it out then, and just
no, you use the syringe.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Then pull your fork leg up. Don't forget to put your spacers in. and there you go, Bob Jarney. How are we going for time?
You got 2 minutes to go, and then the show is over.
Well, we can live with that. There you go. No worries. So we're going to be running over a little bit.
Surprise, surprise!
Now maybe the next show I'll just split the dampening leg for you, but pretty well the dampening leg is about the same. It's the same process, and is
there a speed process like the process that you have when you're
seal.
crapping your pants at the Nationals and you're running out of time?
No, that's just for changing fork seals and not putting oil on your brake pads. That's all that one's for.
Point noted.
Now, a couple of points I wanted to make while we're here at triple clamps. Neil, if you want to focus in on the triple clamps here. Check your workshop manual for the tension on these bolts. Now, some people get a bit excited and think because it's clamping and holding your front forks on, and when Neil's dropping off great big A-grade drop-offs and stuff like that, the last thing you want is the fork leg poking up through there. But surprisingly, it doesn't need a lot of tension. Now, what some people do is they tighten it right up and they stretch the triple clamp. And they think they got to tighten it up until it bottoms out here. Now, that's not what you want. So check your manual, make sure you get the right tension on here. I've only ever done them by hand, right? But they just need to be firm on there. So be careful of that. Now, another thing I wanted to point out to you is to be careful. I've had, on a number of different bikes, I've had the handlebar clamps crack, right? I've had them on gases, beaters, and one of the old bikes. So quite often people will have clamped, pads over the top, and it's something you might not look at much, but pay attention and have a look at that. I remember I had an old 2006 gasser, and the guy had an auxiliary fuel tank on it. He traded it in. I took the fuel tank off, and both handlebar clamps were cracked through all the way, and there was only one bit hanging on. So be careful there. When you, with these hinged clamps and the billeted triple clamps here, these clamps bolt to the top of the triple clamps. So take your handlebars off, and there's a bolt down through the center. Check that as well. Okay. So I just thought I'd point that out to you.
One other thing while you're there, talking about triple clamps on the beaters, when that top nut comes loose, you get a bit of a creak.
Oh yeah. Well then Neil's talking about your preload on your steering head bearings. Now that's one thing we didn't cover when we covered steering head bearings, but different bikes, I know you won't be able to see this one, but some bikes purely take the preload on the top bolt. Some will have like a locking ring that tightens down, and then your triple clamp goes on the top. But yeah, make sure you got your preload set on your triple clamps here.
Just on the beaters, it's quite common that people get a bit of a creaking sound and they can't find where it's coming from, and it's coming from that nut.
Quite often it's the steering head nut there. Yeah, yep, good point. Right, so that's pretty well the main things we wanted to cover. Actually, one thing while I'm still here, this is one thing with the clip-on nameplates. If you've got a later model beater, they have the voltage regulator sitting up here in the headlight, and people go, well, what do I do when I want to put my clip-on nameplate on? So simply all you need to do, I've found, is you get your little angle brackets from Bunnings. I just cut them in half and they're perfect. They just bolt through the top hole of your headlight, and then you actually just turn the regulator around so the fins are facing in, and then bolt it on the inside and use a countersunk head, and it just sits nice and flush, and you can clip your nameplate on without any problem.
And if you're smart, you actually clip your nameplate on so your name is facing upright.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Just for those that use at home,
now,
you just
lift that bit of a cable up so people can see it.
Which one?
That one there.
This one. So there. So it's basically just a flat bracket, bolts flat straight on there, down onto the voltage regulator. It gives you enough clearance behind there, and it's flat enough there to put your fancy clip-on nameplate. And if you're over east and you want a fancy clip-on nameplate, we've got them in stock, and we've got a fine gentleman, Sean Stefanoni, here in WA, who's a graphic designer, and he's got the template.
To make them all fancy schmancy for you.
Yeah, we can put you in contact with Sean, and he'll knock the stickers up for you and post them to you, and they're really nice, and he'll make them with the background colour of whatever your grade is. So there's a nice thing there. So what do you reckon, Jess? I'm supposed to be drinking my cuppa.
Well, actually, I have been speaking to a lovely gentleman by the name of Edward Brown, who has actually been enjoying our shows and wanted to know if we've got old shows, which unfortunately we're just
we got old people.
Yeah, I'm glad you said you being old.
Yeah.
But no, we do have a YouTube channel where you can view them on. I hope that link worked that I put up there, but if not, I will after the show put the link up again.
No worries. No, cool. Well, great to have you on the show, mate. I'm glad you're enjoying it. There'll be plenty of more shows to come. Just a quick one on the TRS electric starts, right, that have the batteries up here. I've been asked, what are we going to do for the TRSs? Well, at this stage I don't know, because we haven't got one in WA yet, so I haven't physically been able to put my hands on one yet. So when we get one, which won't be long, and I'm sure the customer that's waiting for it can't wait, but when they come, we'll suss it out so that the clip-on nameplates will have a mod for the clip-on nameplates for the TRS electric start. So there we go. One other little thing, I thought I'd just quickly show you. People may or may not know, but I had a customer this week who put a new chain and sprockets and stuff on his bike, and he had a bit of a problem that he couldn't adjust it right. Now, some people will be well aware that you can get half links, right? So depending on your sprocket size that you're going for, depending on what the configuration is, sometimes you can end up with that spot where you just need a half, and you can buy them. I've only been able to source them recently in the gold, but it doesn't matter whether they're a gold colour, they still fit, so it's a bit like a gold tooth. They will fit on your standard chains or even on the gold ones, but if you are chasing that problem, if you've got that problem, we do have the half links here. So I thought I'd just show you that if you're interested.
And just to let everyone know, Edward's just come back to say that the links work. He's subscribed, so if you do want to subscribe to the channel and you are enjoying the show, the link is in Edward's comment in Facebook, but Restream should let me put the actual link up properly for everywhere. So I should be able to cover that in YouTube and Facebook for everyone.
Awesome. Good work, Jess. No worries. So that's pretty well it, people. We're pretty well running
on schedule.
Of
8 minutes late.
Of running overtime. But if you're still watching, you're obviously enjoying the show. So what are we going to do next show, Jess?
Oh, I don't know. So we did forks. What about we do knives next week?
Nice. Nice one. No, so people, the first 6 shows up to date has been focused on off-season maintenance. So we've been focusing on all your big ticket items of the stuff that you should be doing off-season. Now we're pretty well heading into the new season. So the news is that the club calendars are out.
Woohoo!
And it's not very far away. We'll be getting into the season. So the next show, we're going to have to look at the schedule because we've got a scheduled power outage in our street for Tuesday the 16th. So
maybe we might just even transfer the show to Wednesday.
So we might have to go to Wednesday, but we'll post up on the Facebook when we're going to reschedule to. But next show will be predominantly a recap of the 6 episodes of the key things that you should have done off-season to your bike. And so you've still got a little bit of time to get that work done before the season starts. And then after that show, then we'll be starting to focus on pre-event preparation.
So that covers getting your ride gear colour coordinated to your boots, to your helmet. So I suggest I've got a post coming up so you can see all the pretty colours that the Jitsi helmets come in. It's like a rainbow of colours up there.
I was insane.
That was great. I was just like, woo, woo. It's very cool. So yes.
And we've had a request for the basic tools that you would take as a minimum to a trial. So I'll be running that. And the sort of parts and gear that you would take to a trial so that you don't miss out on a ride. So that's what's coming up in the next number of episodes. So heaps to come. No worries. Anything else, do you think?
No, I think, Richard and Sue said it's a great job on today's show. So I think on that note, we should actually say uru and sign off.
So it'd be goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
And we'll see you later on the flip side. Possibly not next Tuesday, but maybe Wednesday. So we'll let you know when we're rescheduling. See you later.
Like
have a good one. Ciao.